Yeah.
We're rolling over there. I mean, hopefully I don't forget that one. Yeah.
This little guy, I don't even know which way it goes. Good evening from myself, Wally, aka Stevie Boy, aka Stevie Pop from Bad Lines Good Times.
They call me Elliot.
And there's stole that from me. And yeah, we're here. We're doing our first podcast. We're kind of just swinging it. We have no idea what we're doing. We've kind of done a podcast together about.
Yeah, the Bent Motorsports dudes had us out.
Thank you guys for that.
That was rad, and that kind of inspired us a little further to pick up some additional equipment and let's go.
Yeah, we just want to try and figure this thing out ourselves. More so we can just, one is obviously express anything that we've got that we're chasing down ourselves and promote the forum and promote community and stewardship and all those other fancy terms that we like to talk about. But I'd say the main thing is for me is to just try to find more like-minded people, and there's no better way than broadcasting yourself out to the world.
Yeah,
try to find people like you.
Yeah, totally.
You go be a hermit like me, living in the country, and
yeah,
it's kind of hard to meet people.
Yeah, just making steaks for Juan, and
me and Juan, a lot of meals together.
But yeah, just kind of try to further grow the community. I mean, we've met a ton of rad people throughout the years, and it's been, I mean, we were talking about it on the way over here. It's like known this dude for almost 15 years now, and we met on a forum. You know, this is pre-J-date, all that. You know, we're
Elliot, you came to me. Okay, so
oh boy,
I guess if we want to get into this, how did we all come together? How did Bad Lines Good Times come together as something? Well, it started like a long time ago. Just like we were just talking a second ago before we turned all this equipment on. Like, how much would this cost to have all this equipment? Like, we've just been acquiring stuff like this for a long time because it's like it's a progression of where we're at. Same thing with the trucks. Like when I first started my truck, it was pretty garbage, and the progression of where it went to.
I mean, it still is, if we're being honest. It's still
a lot nicer now.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet if you want to like sit it in the garage.
But Elliot's truck, same thing. It's been a progression of effort and focus, essentially.
I mean, basically just not driving the wheels off it and, you know, giving it a prep every once in a while. Yeah. But yeah.
But you drive the thing. It's not like you're not, you know, I'll use the pussyfoot in it. You know what I mean? You're, I don't know what, are we language guys? What do we do?
Yeah. I mean, it is what it is. You know, we're just doing it.
Anyways, so, it's all a progression, I feel like, of this is how this came to be is, you know, 15 years ago, when even longer than that, the DMC was before 15 years ago. It's like,
that was about like 15 years ago. But so that was like one thing that I was thinking, like, okay, we've obviously created this Bad Lines Good Times. You know, we can go into, you know, recently why we've created that, and that's just like in the last couple of years. But then like, let's take it all the way back to like, okay, Wally. We're gonna call you Wally.
We'll get into why my name's Wally.
How did you get into off-roading? Like, what was the first? Like, at what point were you like, I'm gonna get a truck or let's just say, when did you get into off-roading? Let's just leave it at that.
Back it up a slightly bit further than that, and into vehicles that move?
Okay.
So me personally, like, I come from a family that has zero interest in this. Like, not one person in my family turns a wrench besides myself. My brother used to a little bit, but now he teaches English in Korea, and he's doing his own thing. But like, realistically, I'm the only one in the family that has tools and likes to build things and loves vehicles, all types of vehicles, from you know, boats to planes to trucks and motorcycles or whatever. So I've just always liked them. I always wanted a dirt bike as a kid. And then my brother gave me a CR 125, an old one. I think it was like a 95 or something like that, when I was like 15. And he had it. He's like, if you come pick it up, it's yours. And he lived in Morro Bay at the time. I was in Bakersfield. So it was like We went like the next day. I'm like, I'm gonna get a dirt bike.
I don't want him to change his mind.
Exactly. And he was, anyway, I don't think he was living at the time, whatever the story goes as, but I went and picked that thing up. I rode the wheels off the thing. It ended up being in parts like everything else I own, but I drove the thing as hard as I could for as long as I could before it was just trash. And I never had money to like fix it. And obviously being in the, my focus of what I'm into, it's not like I had a family support. So like any like money I need like to buy this stuff, I had to go figure it out. So that started the journey for off-road. And then after that, I got really into like street bikes. So I had a street bike only for a while. Like that was my only vehicle I could drive in, was a street bike. It was a Bandit, Suzuki Bandit first, and then I had like a Gixxer 600, and those were just like, that was like life for me at the time. It was just motorcycles because it was cheap and it was affordable, and it was like I get to school, I didn't have to worry about traffic and all the things that I thought was important at the time. And then I got out of street bikes and into enduro bikes because I realized how dangerous street bikes were when you see quite a few people die around you that are in the space. And I was like super nervous, one, to like die, but two, to get like in an accident that you like can't really recover from forever, like lose an arm or something like that. I had quite a few friends have all kinds of crazy accidents. So then I was like, man, like these are cool, but like I just don't trust other people. It wasn't like my skills. I didn't trust other people driving because that's usually the case when stuff like this happens. And so so I got from there, and then I got into enduros because I'm like, look, I can go drive off road, and there's like barely anybody out there, and I can go have fun, but I can also drive on the road and off the road and kind of like have a combination of the two. And then I lived on a sailboat for a little bit, so I got super into sailing for a while. I was like all about sailing, like just dive all in.
It's like a What About Bob?
Yeah, exactly. I bought the boat. The first boat I ever had sailed on, like been on a sailboat, was the boat I bought. So I'd never sailed before, and I bought it.
You're like, I'll take it. This is perfect.
And I lived on it, and that was my boat. It was good. It was great. It was actually a really nice boat. I got really lucky with that one. But
I don't know if I knew that.
Yeah, lived on a sailboat for a little bit.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting. Okay.
And then I moved down south and I was living in Oxnard at the time, and I met the boys. This is going back to the truck thing now. That was just my motorsports endeavor. And then I got into trucks because I had met Tyler from TNT and his cousin Mark and Adam and Colton and Eddie. There's a little group of those guys, the TNT boys. And then I went on a trip with them. I was like, oh, I got an enduro. I had an XR 250. I still have it. It's in my container right now. But we went on a little rip with them, and then I rode one time, and I believe it was in Mark's truck. And I was like,
he has a Ranger, right?
Yeah, he still has it. It's really nice. Same exact truck. It's like a 97. I think it's a 97 Ranger. It was 3.0 at the time. He's got a V8 in it now. But I rode in it, and it was like junk leaf springs, like G60 pack or something like that, and a single coil over at front.
And it was just magic.
It blew my mind away.
It's the best.
And I was like, you can jump like this and then just drive home?
Yeah.
And like the first time you've jumped in a truck, it was a purposeful jump. Like it was made to do the thing.
Yeah.
Eye-opening.
Yeah.
Blows your mind.
Expands the mind.
Yeah, anyway.
It's like a bag of potato chips at altitude. Just kind of.
And I had a Nissan hardbody at the time, and I thought I was going to build it into this like rock crawler with a straight axle. I even bought the straight axle for it. I was going to build it. And then I found my infamous turtle truck, and it was cheaper just to buy that because it was done. Quotes, done.
Yeah.
It had coilers over the front, and that was about it. Like it was done.
It was sick. Yeah.
So that's how I got to where I'm at now, and just full kill. I've got 3 off-road trucks right now, and one kind of half works.
Yeah, you've got the what do you want to call the turtle truck that's like a full kill build now. Yeah. That Mai Tai just did the cage work and the shock mounts and all that. And then you've got the Prelander, which was like the race desert Ranger.
Yes.
And that's like your daily driver. And then you've got your family Bronco.
Yeah, so I'm going to get rid of most likely I'm going to get rid of the Prelander.
Don't get rid of it. Everything's magic.
I want it to be a rock crawler.
Yeah, we
Anyways.
could. We could do it. Yeah.
That's where I'm at. I've got multiple vehicles. This is all I want to do with my life right now. I don't have any other like direction. I just want to keep having fun with my friends.
Big
driving
off-road guy.
and exploring. It's
Yeah.
about exploration
Yeah.
for me. Like,
No, totally. Like you say, your famous quote is, "Trucks aren't trophies; they're tools." I think you.
I think trucks are tools, not trophies.
Yeah,
is
that's
how
what
I
I
like
said.
to say
Yeah.
it. You did say it.
But that's I'm with you.
I believe in that, man. And that's usually why my stuff is not perfect or in great condition, is because I want to go off-roading every other weekend. The weekend I'm not off-roading, I want to make it like fix what I need to at the bare minimum.
Yeah.
So I can just go back out again. And that is like the most honest truth. And you know that. I'm trying to go out tomorrow still.
Yeah, but you're like
that'll be 3 weekends in a row.
But you're like the problem is you break your stuff or take it apart, and then you're just like, you know what, dude, I'll just buy another vehicle. Like, we'll just put that one in the garage. It'll be fine.
You're talking about my camper situation right now. I have 2 of the almost identical campers. One wasn't working, so I bought another one.
Yeah.
And I'm not rich.
Yeah.
It was a good deal.
Yeah. Oh man.
Anyways, so your turn, Elliot. So I don't know the full story. I know that you were into like their Land Rovers.
Oh yeah.
Big Land. I thought it was Land Cruiser for a long time.
No.
Land Rover guy.
Yeah, I started off with the Rover, but so basically out of high school, I had a sweet 96 Yukon that was on 20s, had a sweet stereo in it. And
how did you buy it though? Like, how did you like be like, I'm gonna go buy this thing?
Oh no. So it was so it was the family Yukon. Okay. And so this is we're going deep here.
We need to.
But so this it basically
we're learning something. We've known each other for a while.
Yeah, I've never even taught. I don't even. Did you even know I had that Yukon? I think it was sweet, dude. The stereo is friggin' legitimate. But so I had this Yukon that was the family. I don't
think I've ever heard you listen to music.
Yeah,
and you're like the stereo.
I was like a big rap guy, like in the early 2000s. Like this was like post Jinko jeans and like, anyways. So the family Yukon, I don't remember what year it was, but it got stolen, and it had like, I think some 18s on it at the time and like some nice leather seats, and it got stolen. The insurance company found it like at day 28, and at day 30 they were going to total it, but of course they found it and they're like, we're going to fix it. And so they fixed it, and it was basically never the same, but it got put back with all terrains and like the stock wheels. And I was super fortunate, and my family was like, hey, this is your vehicle. And I just gotten my license fairly recently, but so I proceeded to downgrade back to 20s, put this legit stereo in, was going to Cal State Northridge at the time, and slowly, I think it was. So
you were like 20-ish?
Yeah. I was in college. Maybe let's say 20. And so a good buddy of mine, Davey, Rad Migo on Instagram, and he's also on the forum. He's got the Amigo that's got the solid axle swap. The thing's rad.
I didn't realize you knew him for that long.
Yeah, dude, I've known him forever. We used to BMX together. He lived with me for a number of years, but so he was always into the off-road. He had actually had a Ranger. I think it was like a 2001 Ranger 4-wheel drive with the 3-slow in it. We would go like mudding in that thing, and just like around town, like the typical like finding the dirt lot and
find mud.
And then he got an Xterra. He sold the Ranger, got an Xterra, and I went on a.
That was a downgrade for him. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, you might be biased. So the Xterra was sweet. It was like a 6-speed 2-wheel drive. He put like an upper arm on it and like a coilover. And anyways, I did a trip with him to Death Valley with his. I think it was Southern California Xterra Club or something. And so that was kind of my first like little taste into off-road. And I was like, I want to get into I knew I wanted 4-wheel drive, and I was like, I had my mindset on a Jeep Wagoneer. and I was like, I'm gonna get a Jeep Wagoneer with like the wood paneling like Jesse's got now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this thing's gonna
Adventure
be
Endeavor.
yeah, this thing's gonna be sweet. And so I'm like I'm looking on Penny Saver. No, I was looking on like Craigslist and trying to find
back
one.
Then you had it was
right.
I'm like, what was it called?
I'm dating myself. Auto Trader.
But the physical magazine.
But so our office was down in the valley on Ventura Boulevard in Encino, and there was walking to lunch one day. There was this little British auto sales, like it was a British auto mechanic, but he also had like cars for sale. And I walked by and I saw this Range Rover Classic 1990. The thing was freaking mint. Like it was perfect. $3,500. I was like, bro. And those
were the days.
Yeah, those were the days. And so I was like, well, I've always heard Rovers are like pretty sweet, and everyone's like, oh, that thing is gonna break down, blah blah blah. And so, long story short, I bought it, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I was like,
well, that's how you should buy something. You shouldn't listen to anyone else. If you want it, you buy it.
No, that was it. Like I wanted to be like, I liked it because it was different. It was obviously you saw like a ton of like, Wranglers or Rubicons or XJs or the Wagoneer was like unique in a way. And so was the Rover. And so I got the Rover and I proceeded to ruin that truck. Like I lifted it, I put super swampers on it.
Oh.
I took the entire interior out and I put like a pre-runner spare tire carrier in the back. So it was, I turned this like nice family SUV into an absolute shit box like I do. Nothing's really changed.
It's a natural occurrence.
And so that rabbit hole went pretty deep, like sewer pipe, snorkel, the whole Marianne. Like we can post up photos,
because
but I don't want to bore anyone. But long story short here, I blew up 3 transmissions, and I met a bunch of great people, but I was super over that truck, and I found another Range Rover Classic in 92 this time.
We have something in common.
So I was like,
I just buy more projects.
Yeah. So I doubled down. I bought another Rover.
It's the best way to go about it.
But while I got this new Rover, I had the other Rover that had some good parts on it. So I was like, the only logical thing to do here is to cut the Rover in half and cut the roof off and make it into a trailer. And so this is like 2000. Sorry. This is like 2000. Maybe 9.
Okay.
So this is like basically overlanding before it's cool. Like
it's car camping, but yeah.
Car camping. And I have photos to back it up.
I'm sure you do.
It's terrible.
Nobody knows Elliot,
but
he's been categorizing his photos for years, but he's good because he can actually find them. It's not like everyone else, like myself, who just has photos in random spots.
Yeah, you just keep them in an album, and then you have like total recall.
He makes it sound simple. It's hard.
But anyway, so I'm wheeling this. At some point throughout my Rover journey, I met the GFO dudes that are down in Camarillo, and it was kind of like right at the same time that I got the first Rover that I was kind of introduced into the MDR desert racing. And so this is like now probably like 2006-ish. And so I started pitting and eventually doing some co-driving for the GFO team. And so
let me just like preface this. Like, so pitting, just for anyone that doesn't 100% understand, I would assume most people watching this first episode of us understands this a little bit, but like what he's talking about is a desert racing segment. And then you're kind of remote pitting with the guys, helping them change flats or parts on the vehicle or whatever. If they have a flat, you put a new one on, or fuel it if they're low or whatever.
Exactly.
Anyways, we're new to this. I'm just trying to make sure we touch all the bases.
Just covering all the bases.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I met all these, essentially pre-runner race truck dudes, and I'm out just trying to Jeep speed this, the first Rover I had, and I'm just like, bro, what am I doing? And I was like, oh, I'm gonna, I even bought a 305 Chevy motor to swap into the Rover. Like, why? Like, that's the worst. I don't know what I was thinking, but young and dumb. But anyway, so how I got into the pre-runner scene was through the GFO dudes, where I was just like blasting through the desert in this like Rover that had like 9 inches of travel front and rear. And it was comfortable, as long as you went slow, and it could go, most places.
But at that time, slow, your fast was fast, but in like today's version, that's slow.
Well,
like,
yeah.
You were driving that thing fast at the time. You were like, dude, I can't believe I'm going this fast.
Yeah. I mean, compared to other Rover people, I was like, top of the podium. But like compared to my, daily driver Tacoma now, I was, creeping. But anyway, so throughout the desert racing stuff, I obviously naturally was like, hey, this is fun. I want to go faster. And so I met Michael Allen, that works for Total Chaos. Legend. That's got the sweet what is it, the silver Tacoma that's the complete sleeper that the Terra Crew just did a video on. And the thing, like, I've ridden in a bunch of trucks, even in his old Smurf, and that truck, you guys, is like, the thing's unreal. Like, we're doing Barstow frontage road in 4-wheel drive going like 70 miles an hour, and I'm just like, bro, this thing doesn't have a cage. Like, what are we?
I was so sketched.
What are we doing? But anyway, so it was in 2000, I think, like 10. He's like, hey, bro, Total Chaos and Locos Mocos is doing their Nevada trip, and I need a co-dog. You want to go? And I was like, yeah, I do. So I rode in his truck in the Smurf. Had
he been working there that whole time?
Yeah, he's been working there like out of high school.
Oh, crazy.
I think he went to UTI maybe, and then was working there. But so he gave me a ride in the Smurf, and it was like 500 miles. We went all through Death Valley and then ended up popping out like near Benton Hot Spring. And I remember we started with like a brand new set of BFGs on that thing. And it was like BFG all trains. Those things look like we ran a race, because that dude was just pinned through every single rock section, every single whoop section, like through Titus Canyon. He's like full like Travis Pastrana rally mode. And so we got done with this trip, and we're in, the truck had like a Uniball Chaos kit, shocks, 4 shocks under the bed, complete sleeper with a camper shell on it. It had a sticker on the back that said, "Flash me, I'm a welder," and it was reflective. Like, we did this trip, and I get home, and I'm just like, fuck, I gotta buy a pre-runner.
You have to.
I have to do this.
Yeah.
And then so I think it was Pat that works at Chaos
still
sent me a link. He was like, hey, this truck is in Hesperia. And it was I think it was $2,700. It had the front Chaos kit on it. It was like 8 different colors. Rear was stock. Came with a spare transmission and axle housing. And I'm like, yeah.
I'll buy it.
I drove down there. Kayla drove me down there, and I bought it. And that truck that's the mouse.
You and Kayla were together?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought you had the truck before.
No. So that's how I got into off-roading. That's like,
and you're looking at it right now.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
you guys can't see it. We're the computer and the cameras are all on it, but we're staring at this beautiful beast of his truck. Yeah,
and like and so I kept the Rover for a couple years after I had the mouse. So I had both, and it was like, you can only drive one at a time.
Yeah,
I mean, they were definitely dual purpose, like different purposes.
But it's just hard to maintain.
Yeah,
that's the problem. It's like, where does your focus lie?
Well, yeah, but the rock crawling aspect was like, I'm still all about it, obviously. But I had met at that point. We had kind of like, after, I'd say at this point, I think I had met you like 2011 or 12.
Yeah, ish. Yeah, I have a video. I remember the video that I made, because I used to make a lot of YouTube videos, and I started a few back in the day, and it was a trip to Pismo,
mm-hmm.
And it was somebody's birthday.
Was it probably Carlos's?
It was probably Carlos's birthday, because that's like where we go every year. Give me sand.
Yeah,
needed his sand every birthday.
More Ovaltine and sand, please.
But yeah, I remember because we talked to each other, and I was kind of, I feel like I was like rude to you the first time you talked to me.
Dick.
I was putting my quad up on the back of my Ranger. Like I have a full like pre-runner Ranger at the time, and I have a quad on the back. So like just try to like have as like when you're younger, you're just trying to have the most fun you can
Mhm.
have. Just like you're having these two vehicles.
Yeah.
You're trying to like just maximize fun when like that's your only responsibility in life is to like have fun. You know?
Doesn't cost anything to be nice.
I'm sorry, Elliot.
I've
I've
been
never apologized for
I've
that.
been actually waiting
He's
for
been
this
holding on.
apology. I've been holding on to that for 15 years.
I felt like I was a little rude because I was like loading this quad on this. It was just a shit show. My life's been a shit show for a long time, but
I don't even remember that, to be honest. I
I'm
remember
sure
the
you
trip,
don't. But
but you do.
I remember I was like, oh, I was kind of rude to him. But I do that a lot. I overthink. I always feel like the interaction I'm having is exactly the same interaction someone else is having.
hmm
So I'm like, oh, they feel the exact same way I did, and they're like happy go lucky after
Yeah.
the fact that I'm like panicking for a week.
Like, he didn't need help. Like, I'm all set. Like, that's what I was probably like.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like at some point to kind of further the conversation and kind of push it to how we've created the
Mhm.
Bad Lines Good Times. So I would say at somewhere.
Okay, real quick. It was after that trip. I think you kind of like saw how I was and with my truck, and you reached out saying, "Hey, you should come on a trip with
Mhm.
us."
Well, so I think so Mikey, Scott, and I had started up our group of friends. We had nicknamed it the DMC, the Dirt Miles Crew, and so we had started up kind of a pre-runner, overland style. We kind of shy away from that word, but it was like doing the point to point trips with fully, contained camping with our pre-runner trucks. And it's
Yeah.
that kind of has lasted, what the 15 years that I've known you essentially. But so what kind of started it though was, so I was involved in the racing, and I kind of figured out, like, I bought the pre-runner, the mouse, and built it up a little bit so I could go faster, but it wasn't like caged or anything. And at first I was like, oh, I'm gonna build a race truck. This is gonna be rad. And then I quickly figured out, like watching my other buddies like Mecho and Randy Shields that was racing 1404, that it was like I just didn't have the money to race. And I could obviously ride the coattails and Co-Dog, which is awesome, and it's a great, being a part of a race team. It's like it's a team, a camaraderie. You can't really.
It teaches you a lot about what you should be doing to maintain your off-road vehicle, and we can get into that later. But like coming back from the sailing aspect, the best way I had learned how to sail, and this is most people in the sailing community, they have these events called Wet Wednesdays, usually held on a Wednesday midweek, and it's a race on your regular boat. Like they're not race boats. Some people are out there with race boats, but the idea is you learn the most by doing it in a competitive sense, if that makes sense. So same thing with racing. It's like you learn how to maintain your vehicle
Mhm.
so much better by watching how a race team maintains theirs. And even if you only took 1/10 of what they're teaching you
Sure.
or showing you, like this is how we have to do it, you take 1/10 of that. Hey, I should look at these parts after I go off-roading,
Sure.
and like I remember just one memory of mine is like I did the dike jump. I can't remember what year it was, but I did like 70 plus miles an hour in the Rangers, Leaf Sprung Ranger. And I drove as far back as I could to make that thing go as fast as it could in fourth gear because it has no power. And I jumped it, and I like freaked out because it was like the biggest, fastest jump I'd
Yeah,
ever
that's
done in my
big.
life.
Yeah.
And like I got out of the truck and I looked underneath it, and then one of our friends was like, "What are you looking for?" And I'm like, "Anything."
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm looking at every corner of this thing because that was scary, and I just want to make sure it's good
Yeah.
because we still had to drive home the next day off road again. So, anyways, the
Sure.
point being is like some people would just be like, whoever asked that, like, would just drive it and just hope it's all good. And it's like that was like for me learning. I don't know.
No,
just
totally.
trying to pay attention to like, hey, like things could go south really quickly.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and then, yeah, I mean, obviously that's like a huge, you know, being in the race realm, you're at a whole different level of prep. You can't just, give it a slap on the fender and run it like, so many of us do
mhm.
often. It's like, that's obviously going to be letting your whole team down, a ton of money wasted, whatever. But so I was involved with that race team, was like, hey, this is really fun. I've met a lot of rad people, but for me personally, I was like, I can't do this because I don't have the pockets. And, I recognize that. But at the same time, I was like, I want to drive. Like I'm a driver, like we all are. Anybody that's got one of these trucks, they want to be behind the wheel. Like riding passenger is great, but you want to be operating the apparatus. And so I realized like I still really enjoy the aspect of these trucks. Like it's so rad to be able to go quickly through the desert, but it's like I want to do it on a relaxed pace, with my friends. And another thing too that I'll say that was a super dark time that happened in 2010 was the night race accident, and that was another thing that. So I was co-dogging with Metro, and it's kind of a crazy story because
during that race,
during the race, so
I was supposed to be out there the weekend. We went somewhere else.
yeah, so like we basically that race is August 14th, which is my birthday. We're we let's back up to Battle at Prim. So we had thrashed to get the truck, his truck done 1445 together, and we made it to Battle at Prim like the weekend before we're out testing in Barstow, and Metro had built a whole like center mount kit that he designed, had it cut out, and so we're like on the what would it be I think it'd be like the north side of or no we're basically paralleling the access road. It doesn't really matter, and we're not even in a big section, but we hit a couple whoops, and the the center of the wheel broke because of the upper arm like completely bent, and so we basically it caused so much stress on the center of the wheel. I think it was like an Outlaw 2 or something. The thing just freaking exploded, and we just dropped anchor doing like 70 or whatever 50, we'll say.
Coming from the wheel industry, you probably scarred the wheel.
Yeah,
just like glass, and then it shattered.
Yeah, so it was ungood. Basically, it was like a 60 to 0 in a hurry, and so we bent the upper arm, we broke the two shock shafts or one of the shock shafts, and it was funny because I had the mouse out there, and we used the mouse to pull the coil over together. I have photos of it. Trust me, I got photos. But anyway, so he ended up getting he sent the shock out from Barstow to Rycor, which was in Vegas, and he gets a new upper arm cut out, and basically we get it all back together and make the race. And there's also like transmission issues that we had too, so we had to pull the tranny and rebuild the whole front kit
in 1 week.
Yes, it was like I think it was like 2 weeks from the race, but like very close. And so, long story short, Darren Mawson was the other co-dog, and he had known Metro like since high school, like they were like buddies forever. And so it was Darren had helped Brian way more than I had like throughout the course of the truck, but I kind of came in and was helping in this later stage. And like, I mean, we were like having like 2 a.m., 3 a.m. nights at Carl Frontline Fab, which is now Shock Talk. And
he's
so,
a legend.
Yeah, out in Ventura. But so anyways, Darren, like we had talked about it, and it was like I was going to race at Battle at Prim first, the first day, and then Darren was going to race the second day. And so that was what the plan was. That was what the plan was. And as we got close to race day, uh, Darren basically, I could just tell that he was bummed. And I was like, dude, just get in the truck. Like, it's fine. Like, I'll race tomorrow. Like, no big deal. That's just, I was bummed because, my family was there. But so anyways, if we go back to fast forward now, I raced the second day. I think we ended up DNFing. I can't remember the details, but yes, the dike jump, by the way, at 70 is scary. Can confirm. But so fast forward to the night race. So, because of I didn't get in the truck, I didn't get the start for Battle at Prim. I was now in the start for the night race. Yeah. And so I'm a photographer, not much of one, amateur, whatever, DW photo, right? So every year we're always at the rock pile. And dude, every year I'm at that spot.
The exact spot.
That exact spot. Like, I can show you photos from the year before with, so yeah. I've always had, like, I've got goosebumps right now just thinking about it. So it's like, we were talking about on the way over here, like, I don't really like to, I'm not like a real spiritual
fate is the word.
It's like, is that some kind of fate shit? I don't know. Like,
I believe in it.
But so basically,
to a point,
I'm in the truck. We're 4 trucks in front of, Sloppy's truck. We go through the crowd. It's literally, we're driving through a fucking freeway lane lined with people on both sides. So it's like the stupidest thing ever. And so, obviously horrible, RIP to everybody there, like anybody involved, like that has, messed up a lot of people and it's terrible. But that kind of put in a thing, in me that was just like, do I really love this that much as far as the racing aspect? And I'm just like, and I feel like if you have that feeling, you don't belong in the truck. You shouldn't be involved in the truck, and obviously as a co-driver or a driver, but a co-driver, the driver's relying on me. And if I'm not 100% in, you don't belong in the truck.
Exactly.
So that was kind of that was probably more of the reason why I kind of shied away and was like, I'm going to get into this. And, I kind of played it off like it was about the money, but I'd say it was probably more about that, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And that's what I guess we're here to do.
You don't realize what something like that can do to you. And especially not to downplay it, but you had skin in the game. You knew some of the people that, like, on a personal level. It's not like you just met them randomly. You knew them.
I mean, like Darren, the co-driver's brother was one of the ones that passed away.
Yeah. I didn't know any of you guys. So like I said, I've like, thankfully I didn't know any of them, but like, it's so tragic, the incident that happened. And unfortunately that stuff happens like that all the time in racing in general.
Sure.
That even at King of the Hammers, people still get hurt, like, even if it's in the pits or whatever. Racing's just a wild sport.
Yeah, it's normal.
And when you're strapped into a vehicle and you're doing all your things, like, you're in race mode, and it's a weird thing to be in race mode, and it's hard to explain to somebody the direction you're focusing on when that's happening. Not that there was any goal to crash the car, but like, you're not going to drive slow just because there's people standing on the side of the course. Like, that, you're racing.
Sure.
No one else is, so why would you? That's just like, and again, like you're saying, if you're not willing to kind of push those boundaries, that you shouldn't be in the car in the first place. But like, that's kind of the risk you're taking, which is unfortunate. But like, thankfully they have put a lot of new boundaries on racing.
Sure.
It obviously is very restrictive now. It's almost too restrictive, but at the same point, like, it's, at what point is it worth a life? What?
Yeah.
We're going on a downward spiral right now.
Yeah. No, but I think it's important to kind of touch on, how, like, the DMC, which is, now, so we have the DMC, we do all these, trips over the course of a decade. And
I met you guys shortly after that.
Yeah.
So, and that was like probably a year or so after the accident, I probably started meeting you guys. And like, and for me, like, I was so grateful for Elliot specifically reaching out to me, and it was through Desert Rangers is how we all met each other, the other forum that we like loved, and it curated my life, basically. And as far as from like the type of job I do now to the lifestyle I live, like honestly, Desert Rangers was what got through me through college. It only took me 8 years to finish college, but Desert Rangers definitely helped. But my point is in that topic is you reached out to me, and it was at a time where like I was hanging out with guys that were interested in trucks, but they weren't interested in the trucks the way I wanted to use them.
Mm-hmm.
So that was huge for me. Like my first truck was a 4-wheel drive truck. Like I wanted actually both. The Nissan hardbody was 4x4, and I wanted to be a straight axle go fast. I wanted the max utility out of a vehicle I could. And then I found the Ranger that had the TTBs on it, which is a twin traction beam for Ford stuff. And it could go fast and do all the things. And I was like, man, that's what I want to do. And then I kept seeing like trips and stuff Elliot would post. I'm like, man, that looks so much fun. And then he reached out and he hit me up for a trip, and like I went. And I remember the first thing, because I had me and my dog, Mufasa, which is still got Mufasa. He's a great dog. That's how my dog's 12 now. So it was like the first trip I went on with you guys was, I guess it'd be 12 years then, maybe 13. And the Mufasa like ruined my tent. He had a ground tent at the time. He just like broke out of the tent and ripped it all to pieces. I'm like,
was this like a Barstow trip?
It was the Barstow to Cal City.
Was that when he jumped in the koi pond?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all
and
that.
That's when I found the mannequin leg.
And it was like, yeah, the mannequin leg. Okay, so then I also like it was, and I felt really like it was one of those like I'm like nervous and I'm like very self-conscious like a lot, even though I'm like super comfortable being in front of everybody and just kind of like I always say you to you. But like I remember I brought I was really into Newcastle beer at the time, and I brought glass. And Elliot gave me, because he gives me shit nonstop forever. And he's just like, "Oh, you brought glass?" And I was like, "I'm not allowed to bring glass? Like, what am I saying?"
This guy. Big clean desert guy now.
Big clean desert guy. Well, I'd still bring glass. I just bring a way to throw it away better.
But yeah, so we had all these trips that we had done. We had our group of friends, and we had posted all these trips, like he said, on Desert Rangers. Like we would basically Scott DeCurtis that's got the red 4Runner now that everyone just is all googly eyed. Oh, big 4Runner.
I hate riding it though. It's so annoying.
Yeah, but so. we would come up with a trip, or he would come up with it and he'd map it out, and then we'd get 10 trucks or whatever, and we'd go out, and then we'd post up the like a full photo trip report. Everyone would load their photos, and by everyone I mean me. I would do these full reports. And so I'm not even joking, over 10 years of doing this, we had amassed like I think it was like 40 trips. And so it was all in Desert Rangers. Forum was rad. Met literally everyone I know that's into off-roading. Almost I've met through that forum, and it was just the spot. Like it was basically all the desert racers, all the our DMC guys, and then obviously a ton of other people that we've met, and I'm still friends with. Mm-hmm. And so,
like most of them, because they're like-minded.
Sure,
like they got to that site. The website, the forum, and because they had an interest in that space. Mm-hmm. And obviously not everyone you're going to have the same, whatever. I don't know what I'm trying to say. You're not going to have the same connection with everyone, but like that's
it's a common ground. Yeah.
Yeah, you're going to find, because this is a very interesting sport.
Yeah.
To be in.
Totally.
Whatever you want to call it, like hobby.
Anyway. It's a sport adjacent.
I'm interrupting.
But no. So basically, fast forward. So, we had our forums, have kind of been going on the wayside for also the last decade, but all of us were still all about it. Like, from the racing days, it was just like nonstop shit talking, about like who's gonna go biggest off of, Ant Hill or whatever it is. And then, we had, like I keep saying, all these trip threads posted, and then we had started the DMC, it was the _ DMC Instagram. And so this guy, like, how long ago was that? Like 8 years ago or something?
Yeah. Something like
Whenever
that.
like Instagram kind of took off, he was like, "Hey, we should start an Instagram," and he gave all of our like key people the login. So, and the idea was like, "Hey, we all can post up our photos."
Yeah, because like because there's a group of say 8 to 10 of us that were always off roading, we could like just like Elliot and I, we could always have content like on it, and I want to see it. It's like a text message group text, but
Yeah,
let's just make it a little more public so we
yeah.
can all kind of see it whenever we want. You know?
And it was kind of like that was the well, let's call it a creative outlet. And it was all, this was like when Instagram first started, it was like all photos,
Mhm.
no
Just
reels,
photos,
just photos. And then they, you know,
and
they
you could
start,
edit them all cool looking.
oh yeah,
And add
filters,
all.
bro. All
But I
the,
was always
yeah.
manual, just adjusting it just
I was
slightly.
editing things in Photoshop and then posting
Ooh,
it. Yeah.
excuse me.
Anyways, so at a certain point, we, I don't even really know where like the whole bad lines good times thing came in, but I know we had started, we had made like some DMC shirts.
It
And
was from Thanksgiving.
okay,
We had made some. We had so we always do a Thanksgiving trip every year. I don't know how long we've been doing that. It's been a
oh,
while.
it's 10 years this year.
10 years. Okay, this Thanksgiving trip, and it's like this every year. We all go. We go out there for as long as we can. And at the time, you know, basically, Elliot and I were essentially the only two people contributing to the DMC for the most part. You know, there was a few
To the Instagram.
to the Instagram. So there was a few people helping contribute a little bit, but essentially it was just him and I for the majority of it. And then we, you know, then we go and like, hey, I want to like wear some of my own stuff. So we started making apparel for Thanksgiving because it was
Hmm.
like a commemorative trip shirt. And there was we have like now we have like I don't want to say 40 families, but there's a lot of people that show up. Like I don't know the number, but
Yeah, I
it's a
mean, it's
decent
usually
amount.
like between 50 and 70 people show up.
Yeah,
Like,
at least. And because people come in and then they go, like it's a decent amount.
but yeah, so I mean, we had the Thanksgiving shirts that we do each year, which has, you know, some format of a turkey, whether it's alive or dead or whatever.
That's a funny story on its own.
Uh, we had like a couple runs of just like DMC. Like we did some hats and we did some, I think we did some shirts, and it was like basically we were like, you know, hey, it'd be kind of cool. Like obviously we like to wear these things.
Mhm.
And it would be cool if we could like basically make a little bit of cash to, you know, basically pay for what we want to wear.
Yeah.
And so
Our own efforts.
and then so, you know, I think that we were just kind of like, yeah, it'd be cool, but like that's, you know, we don't want to like, this is like our group of friends. Like,
I didn't want to exploit
yeah,
our friend group
yeah. So
by selling it to people that weren't part of the friend group.
and then so I don't really. Basically, we had. I believe that I came up with the bad lines
100%.
good times thing,
Yeah,
and then
the term came from you. I think me and Elliot had well, I say we had discussions. I'm talking like third person for some reason. We had discussions about starting our own thing to not exploit our friend group. That was, and then the term came from you, and I don't exactly.
And then it was like I think we made the Instagram, and then it kind of, you know, I don't want to say it took off, but obviously we had like a good sized following from the DMC. So it was like, hey, we started this new thing. And so we got, you know, 500 followers or whatever. And then I think I had hit up my hockey buddy, Mike Davis, that drew the mouse shirt. And he also did the campfire logo. He's done like all of our stuff with exception to
That was right away, huh?
yeah.
Like
So he did
like fast.
yeah. So I was like talking to him, you know, we kind of came up with this. And so the first idea was like, you know, let's sell t-shirts, bro. Let's be the next Volcom. Like it's gonna be,
we got this.
It's gonna be tight. And then like the mouse shirts were a freaking hit because they're dope. Like the Mike's art is just unreal. Definitely scope them out. Mike Davis art, I think, is what it is on Instagram. But anyways,
he whipped that thing up fast.
Yeah. And then he came up with a bunch of logos for us, like super rad dude. But you know, and at that point I think we had made like a store, like a website, And so
Yeah, that's where we started our
they,
GoDaddy.
yeah, things were kind of like moving along, and you know, the Instagram was happening, and like, oh yeah, this is cool. And then so simultaneously, when that's all happening, Desert Rangers, it went down.
It dwindled. And
No, it didn't even dwindle. It went down. It was gone
oh yeah, I did turn off for a little while.
for like,
A month.
yeah, it was a while.
And if for somebody that goes on forums on a daily basis, it's our Facebook.
Yeah, like,
And like literally, it's where you go to find information that you want to see.
yeah, it's like, you know, you've got the millennials that are into like TikTok and Instagram. You've got the boomers that are all about Facebook, Facebook groups. And then there's like us people here in this weird area that we're into forums. And it's like literally everyone we know, you know, off-road related, is on that forum.
Correct.
And especially for me, you know, and Wally had a bunch of photos and stuff on there too, but it's like I have like all these 40 trip reports, my build thread for the mouse that was like, I don't know, 60 pages. I don't even know how long it is. It's long. And so I'm like, dude, I obviously have all the photos, and like, it's not like those are gone, but I'm just like, I can't believe it. Like, I don't, you know, I kind of felt like I like lost my dog or something.
It's like a journal.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
100%.
And for that's how I use it, honestly, because I would like, I have a terrible memory. If I ever meet you guys and I just act like I know nothing, it's because I don't.
Yeah,
it doesn't stay.
I'll confirm that.
I'm not joking. So I literally would use it, be like, oh, when did I change that? Like, when did I do the diff last?
Yeah.
Like, when did I do the diff oil? And I would go back and look through my thread and be like, oh, it was on like September 9th. And that's when I did the oil change last time. Or not oil change, but like diff change. The things that you don't do on a kind of more of a regular basis, I would use the forum to kind of help me organize, like, and know what I should be doing next, essentially.
But you're like able to catalog it basically. Exactly. And then you can go back and look. But anyway, so that had happened, and it was just like, oh my God, like, and then it came back, and it was like, you know, hey, sorry, it was down. And it was like, all right, oh, cool. And obviously during this time, like, less and less people are on it. You know, a lot of people, you know, the racing, you know, MDR squad that we raced with, they, you know, a lot of them had, you know, grown up, if you want to say, like, got married, had kids,
grown up, and just
and you know, and obviously, or also, I should say, during this whole time, like this 10-year span, our group had kind of stopped doing as many trips also.
Well, you started having kids.
Well, yeah, so you know, I had a couple kids, got married, all that, but so did most of our group. Yeah. And so it's like, you know, when you have, you know, 2 small kids, like, we still would go out, but it'd be like base camp style trips. And so we kind of had stopped doing as many of these like long distance trips. And so it was kind of like, I don't want to say it like died, but it just kind of dwindled just due to like where everyone was at in our lives. Yeah. But so now back to the Desert Rangers thing, like, it had been shut off, and then it came back, and it was just kind of, it just wasn't really,
it wasn't the same.
It wasn't the same, but at the same time, like, I was just sitting back and thinking, like, all right, should I like copy all this to like something, or like, what can I do? And so our buddy Jesse, Adventure Endeavor, we're over at Gimme San Carlos's house for like a barbecue or something, and I think it was Mikey. I don't think you were even there. But so it was Mikey, Fab Lab, and Adventure Endeavor, Gimme Sand, and I were just like hanging out, drinking beers in the back. And Jesse's like, dude, you should just start a forum. And I'm like, bro, I'm not going to start a forum. That's like, hey, bro, you should get a new TiVo, a new DVR. I'm like, bro, I'm not building, like, Desert Rangers has been around, I think, since like 2002, you know, has a ton of members, like
38,000.
how you look at an account like, or a website like Race Desert or Tacoma World, these are like other forums that I'm on, like, those, like, there's no way that we're going to be able to, you know, gain any interest from, you know, to a forum at this day and age. And then he's like,
but I thought we could. When you brought it up to me, I was like, we got this. You had doubts, but I understand where you're coming from, because I wasn't really active. I'm not active on any other forum at all. But I always saw the value in YouTube. And
Mhm.
the reason I always told Elliot this, and the reason I told like the value in YouTube is searchable.
Mhm.
And it's like I still use like I have a BMW that always breaks down. Like I use forums
Sure.
from 2004. Some member found this exact problem, and this is what. And so I saw the true value of YouTube or forums over something like a Facebook group that is completely not searchable, an
Totally.
Instagram not searchable. All those app designed platforms garbage as far as like useful
Yeah,
content.
you need to fix something, like,
Yeah.
you're not looking it up on Instagram.
You can't.
And
There's
they're
just no way to do it.
like, you search by a hashtag, I guess?
It doesn't work.
Yeah. But so I kinda just, like, laughed it off, and then the next day or 2, like, I think I talked to Wally about it. I'm gonna call you Steve. You're Steve, dude. You're not Wally.
It's okay.
But so I talked to Steve about it, and I was like, "What do you think, dude?" And he's just like, "I don't know. It might work." And so I looked into it, and I was like, "Well, it's not like stupid expensive. Like we can, we're still like we're selling like a T-shirt or 2 a month. Like
Yeah.
basically
Yeah.
the whole goal, and I mean, it still will remain this is." And we said when we started Bad Lines Good Times, it was like the goal is to be able to create apparel, and basically if it paid for itself and we got to wear what we want to wear, it was a W. That was it.
Yeah.
We were good. And so, as we have now, obviously the forum isn't free, we have to pay for it. And it's like, if it pays for itself as far as from our sticker and shirt sales, that's
We're
perfect.
good.
It's good. And it's like, then then I was like, okay, well, we'll get we could have the Google ads, because you had the Google ads on your, or AdSense, on
Google
your
AdSense, on YouTube.
on YouTube, and you're like, hey, you can make a little bit of scratch off of that. And so sure enough, we put it up there, and dude, that was so fucking annoying. Like, just the ads, it's just
the worst.
It reminds me of that Chappelle show video where he's like walking through the internet, and it's like him walking through the mall, and it's like, all these different ads.
Ads just pop.
Yeah, this pop-up ads.
And we were actually talking about this on the way here, and it's like it's so. I watch pretty much only YouTube. I used to be really big into making a lot of YouTube videos. I'm really trying to get back into it in my life. I've had this year specifically, and I'll say it over the last like 5 years, I've had some drastic changes in my life, to say the least. But like, I always saw the value in YouTube. I loved sharing my own, I guess, journey, doing whatever I wanted to do, because I felt like for me at least, like I was nervous to get into something I knew nothing about. So once I realized like it wasn't that scary to go off-roading by yourself, like I wouldn't suggest going off-roading by yourself, but for somebody like me that typically just goes when he can, and I just want to go often as I can, like it's not that dangerous or scary to go out and explore and have fun. Um, so anyways, I was just trying to share that aspect, and like these vehicles aren't that hard to maintain. They aren't that hard to work on. You just kind of show up and do the work, and it's there for you to do. It's not that difficult. Yeah, you see all these crazy $100,000 builds. Like, sure, that's not a requirement to have something similar to what we have.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, I saw a ton of value in YouTube, and then again, like coming back to what we were talking about on the way here, that like I want us to maintain as authentic as possible and not drag into like, hey, I think people like this. It's like, well, I don't. So therefore I don't. Like that was like, I want to make t-shirts that I like to wear.
Yeah.
And I not learned that, but like from like us going on all the Thanksgiving trips, like those are the main t-shirts I was excited to put on.
Yeah.
Like my Thanksgiving shirt, and because me and Elliot were the ones designing them, and it was like my one with the turkey, like the live turkey on it, like the not like a cartoon turkey, like a, I don't know. I just love that shirt.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically like if we're not stoked on it, we're not selling it, talking about it. Like this is we're trying to be as authentic as possible, I think.
Because I have a real job that pays my bills.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not
Yeah.
I'm not determined to make this like my only income.
Sure.
Because there's no income right now,
No.
or even close to it. It's a very expensive. You see, this mic was free, right?
Yeah.
That one too.
Correct.
Soundboard.
No.
Cameras.
No.
Like there's like we've made $0 doing anything. What we have made is like lifelong memories.
Yeah, memories, right. And we're obviously we're having fun doing it, and that's the whole goal. And then so like back to the forum thing. So it's like we created the forum, and what I was able to do was transfer those 40 threads worth of trip reports over. So I didn't have everybody's like comments that they had made on Desert Rangers, but at least I had the full storyline, all my typos and mismanaged
that you
comments.
Curated them.
Yeah, they're mine. They might not be, if you look, you're a pro photographer, you're like, bro, those photos are absolute trash, but you know what? They're special to me, and that's what they're there for.
It's your photo album.
So that was cool. And then obviously the build thread for the mouse, and then fortunately we've had, a ton of you guys come over and follow us, and we're so thankful for that, and bring what you've created on Desert Rangers or another forum, and bring that to our platform, and we now have a platform where we're building a community, and that is for the stewardship aspect of like organizing things like the Clean Desert events
next weekend.
Organizing, we just did like our first big forum trip out to the Cinders. And
we had done forum trips before, it just wasn't our own forum. So we kind of knew what we wanted to get out of it. And realistically, like it's always coming back to is just meeting like-minded people. Like I met some great people who are out there. And then I met some people I've known forever, like online, like Willis. I don't think I had ever met. I don't even know. It's just Willis to me. AZ Willis. I don't know.
AZ Willis. I think that's his first and last name.
That's his first and last name. Like, I don't know. But like I've seen him for years, and he's seen us and this, that, and the other. And he was just like this rad dude in person, and I loved it.
Bro, that Ranger that he's got, that thing, I was like looking at it. I was like, dude, this thing's like a stock Ranger. It's a 7S truck with a badass motor.
It was factory backed by Ford.
Dude,
it's a legit race truck.
And like even looking at it, like it was a legit race truck, but looking at it, I was like, whatever. Like the mouse looks gnarlier than that thing does. Like,
but that thing out handles.
And so we're cruising through the Cinders, going through some like 2-foot-ish whoops, right on Scott's in the red 4Runner's bumper. And it's like the Cinders is like that weird, like it's like pea gravel almost. It's like those little tiny like lava rocks. Mm-hmm. If you look at it in the photos, you like feel like it's like black sand dunes.
It's not sand.
It's not. It's like little tiny lava rocks.
You're exfoliating.
But so we're like right on Scott's bumper going up this hill, and I'm laughing. We've got full race truck, no helmets. We're just
there's no headsets.
No headsets. We're just laughing. I got my sunglasses on, and I'm trying not to smile because I don't want a rock to hit me in the tooth and just
take one out.
Like I'm a hockey guy, but I'm not trying to like lose a tooth, right? It was so funny, dude.
But like back to we're able to now having a platform and even obviously having this podcast and trying to get the YouTubes up and going again. We're having a voice to help organize and again just find more people like us that want to not degaff when they go to the desert, kind of teach people like you can do this, you can have fun and be safe and have like a good moral compass at the same time. Like you don't have to just have a bunch of Monster Inc. Monster
Inc, dude.
Monster Inc tattoos.
Bro, Mike Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski on your neck.
Such a dad, dude. Big dad.
That guys right now. But you don't have to like degaff to go to the desert and have a good time. Like you don't have to be throwing your cans in the pit and this, that, and the other and like lighting fire. Like it's fun. I get it. Like I get having fun with like fire when you're in the desert and stuff like that. But like you can also do it respectfully and have fun. And then again, just find more people that are like you.
Yeah.
And that's, again, when I say it's difficult, I've moved around a lot in my life, and it's very difficult to find people that like you sync up with. You know, it's not like we're into golf where it's like, oh, I guess I'm into golf. Like I like drinking beer and walking and talking to my buddies. It's like there's a lot more that goes into what we do to 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 kind of go on a trip with people like us
Hmm.
and feel the same. You know what I mean? Like you should probably know your truck enough to figure out that you could change your own spare tire if you had to. We've gone
Yeah.
on trips where people couldn't do that. And
Well,
it's like,
well, I think, and then it's like, so the what's cool. So it's like, okay, obviously we've got the Instagram, and we've got the forum, and we've got we're now starting this podcast, and it's like we want to be able to bring in people, let's say industry professionals, forum members that are super knowledgeable about shock tuning and suspension and uh, all the different aspects of these vehicles. And that's not for just trucks. That can also be for mountain bike stuff, for UTV, golf cart stuff, whatever.
yeah,
And it's we as he said, it's like we're all about partying and having a good time, although we're all getting pretty old with we're usually in bed before like 9 or 10 now. but
literally 8 o'clock last night.
but so it's like it's great to be a degenerate and thrash the whoops, or beat your truck up in the rocks. But it's also cool to pick up your cans and trash, and be a good steward, because bottom line, if we don't do that, we're not going to have, or we might have somewhere to wheel or off road, but our kids and our kids, they're not going to have shit if we don't take a stand and do something. And we're teamed up with organizations like Clean Desert, like Friends of Oceano Dunes, like the Gambler 500, Sons of Smoky Dudes, and we're trying to use our voice, as small or whatever whatever we're doing here. We're trying to focus on the
Yeah.
positivity, and rather than bitch about what's wrong with everything, what can we do to fix it and educate others so they can help spread the word.
And honestly, even if we could only educate, even if we only reach 100 people, say
Mhm.
max, like say we reached ourselves 100 people. Well, what if one of those guys was the next guy to step it up, and he had the right influence and the connections and X, Y, and Z to do it even better? Like that, there is no excuse not to try. Is
Exactly.
my point. So like
Exactly.
what we're doing here is we're just giving it whatever we know how to do. We're chasing, and we're trying to figure it out. We talk to each other like we talk on a daily basis, but it's like we don't know what we're doing,
Yeah.
but we're not doing nothing.
Yeah. We're going
So
for it,
we're
whatever that
doing
is.
something, whatever that is. It's a thing, and it comes back to like whatever we're doing. It's like the T-shirt I want to wear. Like I'm just gonna curate what I want,
Hmm.
and I'm just gonna go for it. Same thing with the trucks are tools, not trophies. Like if it was a trophy, like everybody would be chasing that same exact one thing. Like I'm building that truck for me. Like that is my tool to
Hmm.
go do the things I want to do with.
Totally.
And same with the forum. It's like we're just creating a space for us to kind of help do the things both Elliot and I want to do, which it seems like there's a good amount of other people that want to do. We're almost 1,000 people on the forum now,
Yeah.
and that's rad. And again, we just want to thank everybody for
Yeah.
one. If you made it this far in this podcast, thank you. We're over an hour now, which we were trying to be at 45 minutes, but we're a little chatty Cathy's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and then so I was gonna say too is like throughout this, if with the forum, with the podcast, it's like if you have a let's say a section on the forum, or you feel like, hey, it'd be cool if we had this section, or maybe like we're totally open to suggestions. We're totally open to topics that you want us to touch on, and it's like there's no ego here. Like if you think, hey, this sucks, or this could be better, like we're all ears. Like I've never built a forum before. I've never done a podcast before, but like we're just trying to spread the good word and meet rad people, do good things, and yeah, that's pretty much the focus here.
And like anything, it's going to be ever changing. Just
Yeah.
like me starting off into street bikes to sailboats to trucks.
Hmm.
Like, I think planes are next, but
Yeah, that'd be
you,
dope. Your buddy, what is it, Darren?
Darren,
Darren,
yeah,
yeah,
dude,
that looks
planes are
freaking
fun.
rad.
It's fun. But my point being is like, there is there's no box to put whatever we're doing in. Just let's have fun and
Hmm.
kind of, if you think things are fun and you want to,
Well, and it's like
suggest anything.
the low light real celebration is literally what it's about. Like I've told this to a bunch of people, but it's like the whole story about like, oh God, I hit this whoop section. It was just, God, it was absolutely perfect. It was like the first time I saw your eyes like 13 years ago. It was just incredible. No one cares, dude. That story sucks. But that story when you're, next to the access road and you're doing mock Jesus and the wheel comes off and,
That
you have,
dude in the Ranger, the
yeah.
brand new Ranger,
Oh,
yeah,
bro. But that's what we want to hear about. Like,
Yeah.
how'd you fix it? What went down? Like, that's what life is about, in my opinion. It's like that. At the time, no one wants to delete a corner in a vehicle.
No.
That's what I call ungood.
No.
That's bad.
You don't want to wreck.
No. But how'd you get it on the trailer? How'd you get it home? What's that story? And then what are you doing moving forward? Like, don't dwell on what happened, but anyways.
One thing I used to say back on the street bike days, and because when you have a street bike, they sound cool, you look cool, you got your leathers on, you got all your gear on, you just like, it's kind of a cool thing, especially when you're younger. But I would always ask people, because they would be like, dude, I want to get a bike. What do you think I should get? And this and the other. And I go, well, before you get a bike, like, are you willing to crash? And if you crash, are you going to be willing to fix your stuff and get back on the bike? Like, if you're not willing to like take whatever's going to come at it, like they're saying, like if you wreck your truck, you delete a corner off the truck and you're like, off-roading is just too much for me.
Mm-hmm. There's those people.
There's tons of most, and that's not to sound rude, but like the UTV market, it's inviting that client in there of like not recognizing, one, how dangerous what this is, and two is like how much effort it takes to maintain something like this. So like, are you just doing it for like a little thrill? Like you're going on a roller coaster for the first time, or are you like in this? And I think that's what our forum does over the, not to discredit any other forums, like the Tacoma Worlds, people on our forum aren't asking if they can put 37s on a 2-inch lift. Like they've kind of stepped beyond the regular forum, found us because they're actually interested in how to keep these things going. How do I continue this lifestyle? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so I think that has like a lot to do with it, is this, how do we find and help people that are interested in continuing this lifestyle by just providing a space for good information, because the internet's full of bad information. And so luckily, I don't know, we started something.
Yeah.
Seems like it's working, kind of.
Yeah. And so we should probably wrap this thing up here because we're, at about an hour and 15 minutes. But
well, let's hope the cameras are still on.
Yeah. Yeah. Should we check that? we can't.
We'll have to try again tomorrow if it's not working.
Oh, boy.
Hey, sound guy.
There's no sound guy. It's just
us in a dark room.
But yeah, so we've got next weekend, November 11th, we're doing the Clean Desert Cleanup. And so we're going to be out there. Our buddy Caleb on the forum, UCD Baja.
Yes.
I think that's his name on the forum.
Bad with the
Colton, Adventure Endeavor, Scotty, SD Curdy. He's going to be out there helping us cook. And so we're doing bratwurst, peppers and onions, some corn on the cob, and some ranch beans for like
tacos for the first time.
It's for like 500. Yeah.
500-ish.
Yeah. We'll see. But yeah, so if you guys can come out to that, please make it out. If you're, if we get this thing up in time for before that, let us know if you're going to be there on the forum, and look forward to seeing you out there. But anything else that you want to add in before we wrap this?
No, I'm stoked. This is working out. Hopefully, the cameras are working how they're supposed to.
Yeah, right on, dude. Well,
all right.
Cheers, bud.
Cheers. Empty cans.
Yep.
Woo! We did it, Elliot. First podcast.
Let's go.
All right.